International affairs experts are warning the conflict in the Middle East could expand throughout the region after Saudi Arabia and the Houthi fighters in Yemen traded attacks over the last few days, increasing worries that the strait leading to the Red Sea, a key route for Saudi oil exports, could be cut off. In 2014, a war broke out in Yemen between the Muslim Sunni-led government and the Shiite Houthis. Other Gulf nations intervened in 2015 to restore Yemen's internationally recognized legitimate Sunni-led government. Over a 7-year period, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates led an aggressive bombing campaign in rebel-controlled areas of Yemen, with more than 25,000 airstrikes and a naval blockade to prevent Iran from resupplying the Houthis. The Houthis responded by launching drones and missiles at Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The nonprofit Yemen Data Project estimates that nearly 9,000 civilian deaths were caused by the coalition airstrikes. Overall, by the end of 2021, 377,000 Yemenis had been killed in the war, according to the UN. 60% of those caused by food shortages and lack of medical care. In 2018, the UN Secretary General warned the humanitarian crisis in Yemen had already escalated to a dire point.
Allow me a clear message about the situation in Yemen, the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. This is not a natural disaster. It is man-made. And Yemen today stands on a precipice. On the humanitarian side, the situation is desperate. We must do all we can to prevent the already dire conditions from deteriorating into the worst famine we have seen in decades.
In 2022, the Saudi-led coalition and the Houthi group agreed to a truce, and while the agreement lapsed in October of that year, fighting hasn't resumed. In 2023, a Houthi delegation visited Riyadh for longer-term peace talks. The truce even stayed intact throughout Houthi attacks in the Red Sea in support of Gaza during the Israel-Gaza war. Now, these latest attacks between Houthi fighters and the Saudis, along with the threat of a Houthi blockade in the Red Sea, could cause further conflict in the region. Now, since the conflict began in 2015, the U.S. has been part of the response. During the Saudi-led campaign from 2015 to 2022, the U.S. provided weapons and intelligence to its forces. In 2024, in response to Houthi attacks on ships in the Red Sea in support of Hamas, the U.S. bombed Houthi targets and stopped attempted ship seizures. Then in March 2025, the U.S. military launched a campaign to completely eliminate the Houthi threat to maritime transit. After about 2 months of fighting, the U.S. and Houthis agreed to a truce, which has held for now, but an escalation of fighting between the Saudis and Houthis could jeopardize that. I want to bring in CBS News Middle East contributor Courtney Kealy. So, Courtney, with these new attacks, what can we expect to happen, and what does this mean for the broader region?
Everything and hopefully nothing. So the Yemeni separatist movement and the Yemeni civil war was always between east and west, north and south. But in recent years, it's become a proxy battlefield. The Saudis have chosen one side, the Iranians have chosen the other. The Saudi side is supported internationally, and it is also supported by the U.S. and other countries. And after October 7th, they wanted to make sure that there was no spillover of the Iranians inducing the Houthis to shut down the Red Sea shipping routes. And there's another choke point. So there's Strait of Hormuz and there's Bab el-Mandeb. Bab el-Mandeb or Mandeb is basically the Gate of Tears. Now, it's not the Gate of Tears because it's being shut down by the Houthis. It's the Gate of Tears because it was called the Gate of Endurance. You had to sail through it to get to further shipping routes to Asia. And if you sail through it, you can go through the Suez Canal and to Europe. So it's another strategic waterway with another strait that can be blocked. And so with the death of Khamenei, with his funeral, some of the Houthis went to the Khamenei's procession and they came back, and that's when they say the Saudis bombed the Sana'a airport, which the Houthis are in charge of. And then the Houthis responded by attacking Saudi ships. And that was just a few days ago. And what that did was upend markets and make everyone say, oh, no, here we go. If we can't get the Strait of Hormuz open, what about this? And are the Iranians going to pick this fight, too?
So what are you going to be watching for in the next few days?
Shipping lanes, any kind of agreement for the Saudis and the Houthis to calm down, because the Saudis really speak for this Yemeni government. And the Houthis and the Iranians, really, they'll listen and maybe defer to Iran. But the country is impoverished. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. It's still undergoing humanitarian catastrophe. large numbers of starvation, lack of humanitarian aid. So meanwhile, once again, as the region often goes, you have people paying the price.
Courtney Kealy, thank you.